What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the live stream on Tuesday night. It's dog management hour. Q&A, live stream Q&A, guitar Q&A hour. And so we're going to talk about what guitars you think are collectible here in a few minutes. So start thinking about that stuff. The other thing is all of these live streams are ad-free. So if you want to support these live streams and all of what we do at the channel, you can use a super chat. You can use a super thanks afterwards. It's kind of like a super chat, but afterwards. You can also buy pickups at dylantalkstone.com, or you can support any of the links in the description for any of your fun hobbies that aren't guitars that you do the same kind of stuff that we're into. Or you can just use Amazon and buy whatever you want, and that'll help too. So thanks for coming and hanging out with us tonight. The first live stream, I don't know if it's exactly the first live stream of 2025 because I went past midnight the other night, so I don't really know what you want to call that. But it's the first one that originated in 2025. Come on, buddy. Zeba, come. Good boy. And so that's what we're doing. And we're going to answer questions that came in from Patreon and etc. And then we're going to have an off-topic hour after 9 o'clock and talk about not guitar stuff. So there you go. So do you want to get... We had a very eventful day, so we'll tell you about a lot of that in the off-topic hour. But before then, we'll do guitar stuff.
Cool. You ready?
I am.
Shane. Happy new day. Lovely Leslie and dashing Dylan. I have seen predictions by some that Indonesian-made guitars from all brands, including Harley Benton, will go up in price and become collector items 20 years from now, just like Japanese Squires from the 80s or Japanese Orvilles did. Thoughts? Will first-generation Indonesian guitars become collectibles?
No, they won't. Here's why. For something to become collectible, it has to be collectible. It just can't be a guitar. If you look at a Harley Benton or any high volume, low price guitar, high volume's the problem. If there was a way to say that it's rare because the first 20 Harley Bentons were made by a man, named Harley and or Benton, then maybe those ones would be worth it. But if they're made in the same factory that Squeaky Toys made in, like they are now, then there's nothing special or collectible about them. I don't know why he finds the loudest stuff.
I don't know why or how we were supposed to keep him from running.
What's really funny is he's just now, like in the last 4 or 5 days, figured out how to squeak toys. So I'm sure he'll tire out in a couple of minutes. But anyway, yeah, let me know what. So I guess I was thinking about this because okay, so if you look at some of these other guitars, like the Japanese Fenders from the 80s. I have one. And everybody says they're worth a bunch of money, but they're not really. They're worth more than they were when they were new. And they went through a little bit of people thought they were cool, but overall, they're not worth that much. I have one that's very rare too. And it's the tremolo is worth $1,000. The guitar's only worth $500 as a whole guitar, though. That's a really weird thing. So I don't know that matters. I think some of the early Squires are cool, but that was because they were only made for a couple of years and actually not in as high a volume as you would think. Some people would say that the made in Japan guitars versus the crafted in Japan guitars are better. But I think that's just kind of a made up thing in forums because one came before the other. But really, are they really worth more? Not really. On the grand scheme of things, they're not worth more. Now, you might have one that's you pay $500 for, and then you pay, $700 for the other one, but that's not collector money. It's not appreciation money. Now, I put the Hello Kitty guitar in the thumbnail because those original ones were only out for a very short time, and they were actually rare, and they were inexpensive guitars. They're only $200 or something like that, something right around there. And now you got to give $1,000 for one. Is that actually a collector guitar? To me, if it's $1,000 and it was a couple $100 when it came out, it's not really appreciating. I mean, inflation is a thing too. It's okay. But it's not really a collector's item. A 59 Les Paul is a collector's item. A 59 Junior that was $299 when it came out is now, or $129 or something, when it came out is now $15,000. That's a collector's item by hundreds of percentages. But just because something's worth a little more than it was when it came out, and I don't think that'll happen with high volume stuff. I just don't think it will. So my question to all of you is, what do you consider collectible? Because I suppose that also, I'm saying all of that, but that could be different for different people. Some people collect stuff themselves just because they think it's cool. I have some stuff that I think is neat that nobody else thinks is neat. So, I just think it's cool. Does that make it a collector's item? Well, I mean, I'm collecting it, but I don't know if that really makes it a collector's item. So let me know what you think is a collector guitar to you, especially in this inexpensive thing. Examples, just to prime the conversation, might be some of the 50s or 60s and 70s Japanese stuff. Taiscos and all the Italian stuff, like all the weird Italian guitars and all that kind of stuff. So again, they're not thousands of dollars. They might be thousands of dollars when they were only $50 when they came out. So, but that's pretty neat. But let me know what you think in the comments as we continue to go on tonight. Let me drink out of my Grand Canyon glass.
Wait, this is super chat from Van Shank Guitars. Thank you for the super chat, Ivan. He said, ad free for the win.
Thank you, Ivan.
Another super chat from G Money. Thank you for the super chat. He says, I liked your top guitars of 2024 the other day. Here's mine, and I love them all. Number 5, Taylor 214 Acoustic. Number 4, 2008 Gibson Les Paul Studio. Number 3, Fender Performer Telly. Number 2, PRS S2 Vela. Number 1, Gibson ES335.
You have a broad range of stuff there. I think that's very cool. Not only price-wise, but also kind of style-wise. I think that's really neat. Thanks for sharing that, man. And thanks for watching that video.
Super chat from Joey Dano Guitars. Thanks for the super chat, Doug. He says, Lemon character taking his sunglasses off and raising his arm to greet someone. Imitated by Baby Lemon. Super sticker. Those are fun to read.
Those are fun to read.
Yeah.
You all in the comments can see the actual super sticker, but what we get through our software is like a description of it.
Description of it. Yes.
Yeah. Pretty funny.
Do you want to hear anything first, or you want to? No, you're not talking about your subject yet, or are you?
Yeah, we are. Let's hear some of that stuff. I'm curious.
Jay Valente, he just popped in immediately and was like, "How many guitars do you have to consider it a collection?"
That's a good question. I don't know.
Let's see. It's Victoria G said, not a traditional collection, but luthier Ron Thorne at least used to have a collection of every Brian May signature guild in every color ever created, even non-production colors. Cool to see a pic.
See, I think that's neat. When you're interested in a thing and you collect all of the thing, I think that's really cool.
It's Victoria G also said their opinion is both rare and sought after. Has to be both or it isn't collectible.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am too. And I have to want it. I don't care how collectible it is if I don't want it. Like, there's some neat guitars that are kind of cool, but I just don't want them.
Hat Mike says, I've got a 1938 Martin. I consider that a collector's item.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Curtis Chavez says, I think Pias, is that a word?
Okay.
Pias, gems, and USA made Jacksons and Charvels will be the next fairly modern collectible guitars.
That's interesting. And this also leads to a sub question. What do you consider vintage?
Let's see. All right, there's that. Marcia Murray said the Squire Paranormal stuff.
I don't think so.
RRD says, I just got a LERXT.
Oh, that's yeah. That's
I don't know.
Yeah, that's made by the guitar player from Rush.
Okay. Limelight hand sign number 49. Whether or not it's collectible doesn't matter to me. The guitar is amazing.
Yes.
Matthew Altamere says, I don't think collecting necessarily means that you're doing it for investment or appreciation purposes. More like you said, you're collecting things that are cool to you.
That's what my guitar collection is. We talk about this all the time, right? I have kind of two sections. I have the guitars for work, but the ones that I buy for myself, there's a specific reason why I want them. And nobody else might want that guitar, but there's a specific reason why I want it.
Dog Dr. Tim said Mosrites and Tyscos. I want one of each. They're just so cool.
Oh, yeah. I used to have a Tysco. I read a Mosrite.
Fox Guitars Rock says, only collectible guitars I own would be my Gibson Les Paul, my Vox Standard Model 24 from 1979, and probably my mom's 1966 Framus Dreadnought.
Now, those are cool, man. Those are really cool. And the thing is, none of those are really like, oh, wow, I'm going to go out of my way to try to find one unless you're into that stuff. Now, like, for example, if you didn't have your mom's guitar, you might go and look for the guitar like it. Like you might go, and I know a lot of folks will look for like their birth year guitar or whatever, they'll find various collectible things to them, and if you're born in the 70s, nothing in the 70s is really collectible, but it is if you want it to be.
All right. Let's see where okay. Steve Rezer says Takamine electric guitars from the 80s. I have a matching pair, a GX 100 and a GX 200.
Okay, so this brings up something interesting. A lot of times, good stuff isn't collectible. You know why? Because it was so successful that they made 1 million of them. Stuff that sucks, oftentimes, is very collectible because they only made a few and then they stopped. And then therefore they are rare and sometimes failures. So I'm not saying Takamine electric guitars are a failure, but honestly, from a marketing standpoint for Takamine, they were a failure. They don't make them anymore because they're like, you know what? We're acoustic guitar people and we're going to focus on acoustic guitars and the development of a good acoustic guitar pickup. And they don't make electric guitars anymore. So that makes those guitars, I don't want to say maybe sought after by everyone, but if you're into them, you're into them like you. And so that would make them collectible. But if they made 1 million of them, like a Gibson Les Paul, it's just a guitar, right? So sometimes the failure of a product is what makes it collectible, which is interesting.
It's Victoria G said, my mom tells me the Crazy Lamp Lady channel says once you have 3 of something, it becomes a collection. She reminded me of that when she saw my amps and my puppets. There's nothing. What? That was it.
You're not going to talk about the puppets?
No, not at all.
Okay. Okay. Just checking.
Nope. Nothing to be said. Vox Guitars
You know
Rock
what I was thinking?
said,
You have puppets, but that's none of my business. And then I go and like take a sip of bourbon. Anyway, go ahead.
I don't know what that means. Vox Guitars Rock. A pre-war Martin would be awesome, but I will never own one.
Never say never. Never say
Matthew
never.
Altamere says vintage is anything older than me.
Yeah, we don't know how old you are, and I'm not going to ask. So, yeah.
I mean, maybe that's what vintage means to him, though.
Oh, okay. Well, good point. Actually, good point.
J Max, maybe Old Valley Arts guitars.
Okay, so that brings up another thing. Sometimes the collectible thing might not necessarily be the rarity of it, but some milestone. So like Valley Arts is now owned by somebody, but it's the brand name is owned by it, and they're sort of reproducing an Asian version of what was once. So it's not, I don't want to say it's not a real Valley Arts guitar, but it kind of isn't. It's just sort of kind of like the Silvertone stuff is now. They're very good and they're very cool, right? And Harmony, they're very cool, but they're not like the real original Harmony when Harmony was really Harmony. So those guitars, the really Harmony ones back then, or the ones you just mentioned, Valley Arts, those might be collectible because the ones you get now aren't those anymore. So that might bring up another point.
Let's see where we're at. T-Bone, probably nothing collectible. I've thinned the herd. 2011 American Standard Strat, older Takamine acoustic, and a Dan Electro Dano blaster.
Oh, neat.
It's your collection. It's Victoria G. Like you said, definition of collectible differs from person to person. If you asked Ed Roman, I'm sure he would have said all of his are collectible.
Well, he would say anything he did was
Also, she said
made of
she
gold.
got your Kermit Lipton tea reference with your drink. Dog Dr. Tim said, I can't afford any 1956 guitar. At least I don't think I can. My wife knows I can't.
That's funny.
3J Music said, I'm pretty sure I'm on my way to a collection of Texas Toast guitars.
Me too. Oh, I only have two, so one more. Does that make it a collection then?
Probably.
Yeah.
Doc Stilton said, I've curated a collection of TTG prototypes and very limited production models. I like the one-of-one stuff. Don't really care if they become collectible or desirable because I really love them.
Yeah, but you know what? Because you really love them, and then all of a sudden someday they are, and then you have these things. Like, isn't it? It's neat. Like, I know that feeling because I'm trying to think of who. It's one of you owns. Maybe is it Tony Leonardi? Owns the very first guitar I ever built. Because it came back through and I got a hold of it and he bought it. And then I think didn't Matt from Texas Toast has I think it might be number 1 or number 2 right at the very beginning of his guitars too. Came back to the shop and he has it. So that's really neat. So that is a cool feeling. My very first set of pickups is actually in Luther Dickinson's outhouse shaped and themed cigar box guitar. That's where my very first set of pickups is. Well, second set. First set I ever sold to someone.
Yeah. All right, let's take a few more and then we'll do another question.
Yeah.
Devil's Own. Proud second owner of a 1963 Gretsch 6186 Clipper.
Hmm.
Entry level at the time, but has held up great and is just as fun as hell to play. Bonus is it has the original Time Twister vibrato bar.
Interesting. Yeah, that stuff's neat. They tried all kind of weird stuff back then, huh?
Van Chant Guitar says, in this case, I have a feeling that my Yamaha Image Standard from the early 90s would be considered vintage and rare as they were only made for a few years.
Yeah, I get that.
Tom F says, old Sears guitars with built-in effects.
Yes. Or the silver tones with the amp built into the case. Remember those?
Vince Negra 2 says, what about Squire's hardtail strats from the late 90s and early 2000s?
Maybe, but the thing is they make more of that stuff now, so it's not really that collectible, I don't think.
Fox Guitars Rock just remembered something with the acoustic guitar my sister bought me that used to be owned by Gordon Lightfoot qualify as collectible.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Edgar Cesario says, I would say 5 or more is a collection. My top is NGD Fender Custom Shop Jazzmaster NOS that I order from Casino Guitars. Parker Fly, Fender Strat by Squire, PRS Custom 24, and Les Paul Gibson Standard.
Having a custom shop that you ordered from Baxter and Jonathan is pretty neato. I would like to be able to say that one day.
All right. That's what I grabbed already. Cool. I don't know if more.
Let's go ahead and go on to these other Patreon questions, and then we can start taking actual, like, normal general questions and super chats too.
Kyle, I just got another guitar strap as a gift for Christmas. I now have more straps than I have guitars, and I will likely get more in the future. What is a good storage solution for 10 plus guitar straps? I've been thinking about buying one of those necktie closet hangers, but maybe there's a better solution.
That seems legit. Yeah, I mean, that seems legit. I just hang mine on the yoke of the guitar stand. But if you have more than that, yeah, I mean, the necktie thing seems legit, unless you want to just use a, well, if you put it on like a J hook for a pegboard, then you'll elongate the holes over time. So yeah, maybe the necktie thing's cool. Necktie storage, or roll them up and put them in a drawer like glasses or something, you know, kind of like that. That's what I would do. I've never thought about really collecting guitar straps, but you really could, because there's a lot of really neat stuff.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just it's an easy gift item for something to give someone.
It is, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Zoltan. Hello, Leslie and Dylan. Good evening and happy 2025. This year, I decided to get rid of all my guitars that are not premium and don't hold sentimental value. That's about 20. How would you go about such a project?
I don't know.
Oof.
He's in Belgium too.
That's a lot.
So I have no idea. If anybody wants some of Zoltan's guitars, hit him up. Because he probably has some really cool stuff.
A list somewhere.
Because I know that and actually what you should do is you should go to our Facebook group. I know you're in there. And you should just start showing them. I don't care if you want to sell a guitar in there. Do it. Take advantage of the opportunity with the community. Everybody, you've been around there a while. Everybody knows who you are. Just, we don't want to make it. So just what I'm saying is make a post with a bunch of pictures and a bunch of everything. Be like, hey, I'm just getting rid of this thing.
Everybody's telling Kyle the solution is to buy more guitars.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Dr. Tim said he should double strap some of them for security, and he might start something.
That's funny.
So also, if anybody has any advice for Zoltan.
Yeah, he is in Europe, so
yeah.
That's an interesting one. I don't know.
Rob, Happy New Year, Leslie and Dylan. I recently ran across a video that demonstrated the roadie wrap, aka over under method to coil a cable. I'm curious about your thoughts and if you coil your instrument cables this way. Thanks.
Nope. You know why? I, d- I understand what the roadie wrap thing is. I get it. But if you have good guitar cables, instrument cables, microphone cables, anything, they don't get tangled. My guitar cables, available at dylantalkstone.com, made by Runway Audio, do not get tangled. You know, you have some. And so I just don't really worry about it. Yeah, I've got a couple sitting right here, and just before the live stream, and I don't even think about it, and they just go whoop, right in a round circle, and they seem fine. So I don't really, and they have a little Velcro thing on them. I never think about it anymore. And I think it's just because of the cable. So I don't know that there's any specific way. I think every brand of cable, based on the thickness of the jacket and the slickness of it and all that, you just kind of have to figure out what method works the best for that cable. I don't know that there's any one answer to that.
Yeah.
You know? They all got different stiffnesses and stuff. And
All right. You want to go back to the top of the.
yeah, let's do it. That was the last of our Patreon questions, I think.
Yeah. Dog Silton and asked how's the puppy, but I don't know if you want to wait. If you want to do that now or later.
He's fine. He's sleeping right now. And once we get into off-topic hour, I'll fill you in on the whole deal.
Jose Daniel Zamora P. What are your thoughts on the paradox of knowledge regarding pickups? Like, I feel cursed with the knowledge that some guitars could be better with upgrades, but it sounds fine like it is.
I don't think a lot about that. So the paradox of knowledge thing is really an interesting thing to me. I should do a whole Tuesday podcast about it. Because I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Because what happens is people get so sucked into the knowledge of the thing, and it becomes its own purpose. So having the knowledge about the item or hobby or how something works, it becomes its own purpose, which sort of ruins it, right? Like, when you know something, a lot of times you're trying to improve your experience with said thing. So if you learn about a pickup, you learn about what could make a pickup better, and you go, man, I'm really trying to get tone out of this guitar that I can't get out of it. And I really think if I change this pickup, knowing what I know and what I've learned from watching YouTube videos and reading books and talking to people, that if I make this change, it will be better. And now I will have the result that I want. That's one thing. But if you have knowledge just to say you have knowledge about a thing, and then it starts taking away from your experience because now you're never content with what you have, then it becomes a problem. And most of the time, you also end up spending a lot of time trying to tell people how smart you are about that thing. Usually what happens. So the way I get around that, because I am this nerdy about everything. I want to learn all the things about all the things all the time. So the way I get around it is I let every item stand on its own. And then I decide whether I want that thing or not. And if a reasonable modification gets it to where I want it to be, then maybe I want that thing. So I buy a cheap guitar. Like, let's take the Hello Kitty guitar for example. If that guitar came out of the box and it was like a Sonic Squire, where it felt really cheap and needed a bunch of work, then I would have returned it and I would have not kept it, because then it becomes its own thing. It's like takes away from its own experience, because all of a sudden you need all this knowledge and all this time to get that thing where you want it to be. But as it came out of the box, I'm like, wow, this is a really fantastic instrument. The only improvement that I would make is the pickup. A, because I'm a pickup guy. B, because it would make great content because you would love to know about it too. And C, I think it could be better and I would love this guitar if it was a little better. Then I don't feel like the paradox of knowledge burns me there because it doesn't like paralyze you in research. Me and you have both been into things before or researched things before so hard and so long, and you're like, I don't even know where I started. Like, I'm like, and then you end up just going back to what you were going to do in the first place because you get so bogged down in what you're researching and learning that it takes away from the experience. So if you get a guitar and with a reasonably direct way, you can make that thing what you want if it's not already, then I would encourage you to do it. If it's a guitar that you get and it's like paralyzingly involved, unless that's the joy you get out of it to modify it, then just don't buy it. And this is why I'm so hardcore on the like cheap guitars are cheap guitars and expensive guitars are expensive guitars. That's why I don't like the just as good as thing. It's not just as good as anything. It is what it is. Let it be that. Let it be what it is. And if you want something better than that or different than that, then buy the different thing. There's enough choices out there where you don't have to be a just as good as guy. You can just say, I see this cheap guitar. I don't need to talk myself into the fact that I think it could be good because there are other choices. So just let every piece of gear be what it is and try to understand where it belongs in the market. That this very inexpensive, very rudimentary piece of gear that barely functions as a thing is meant for this person and that person is not me, instead of, I think I can turn this into something good, because you probably can't. Yeah. I could go on about that for a long time.
Again, we've kind of been all over the place, so some of these comments
Yeah, no way.
/ questions don't make sense anymore, but we'll just... Dog Dr. Tim said, there are $100, I have to read this one because same, $100 cars in my town with $4,500 of wheels, tires, and stereo on them. The owners love them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%.
I used to hear people when I was young. I know a lot of people have issue like when you drive by. More common when I was young because now there's all these laws and people have to get rid of their trailers. But like trailers were so common when I was young. And then if they had a nice car, they'd be like, they got their priorities all messed up. I'm like, why can't you just have a nice car? Like,
so, and I used to be really judgmental about that too.
Really?
Yeah, I did. Probably because I was that person. I didn't have a lot of money growing up, but I always drove a nice car. I've always driven a nice car because it was important to me. And I realized that so for example, you would pull up to, this is totally off topic, but you would pull up to the drive-thru and somebody at McDonald's would have like a super killer iPhone and an Apple Watch and their nails all done and whatever. And you can tell, and I'm like, where are your priorities? And then I'm like, wait a minute. When you start to realize the importance of maintaining mental health and a hobby, and maybe that's what that person is into. And maybe they need that for their, life is life and I'm going to go get my nails did.
Yeah.
So I don't think about that anymore. I do not think that I have any right or care in the world about how somebody else spends their money or what they use their guitar for or how they use their pocket knife because they start prying with it or whatever. I don't get in comment sections and talk about that stuff. I'm like, that person's story led them to that spot where they're going to smash that guitar. I don't care. Like, maybe they'll regret it. Maybe they won't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. It's not my money.
All right. Phil Grochel, is a guitar worth more if you replace the stock pickups with Dylan Talks tone pickups, or does it not change the value given personal preference?
That depends on who you are. If you don't know who I am and you don't know what we do and you don't appreciate what we do, then what I do is worthless to you. If you do, and let's say, for example, that Zoltan has an inexpensive guitar that he wants to sell and it's got my stuff in it, and you hear about it in the Facebook group and you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely an upgrade because you value what I do, then it would be worth it. It's only worth it. Anything is only worth it to what a person is worth, or, is willing to spend on something. So yeah. Now, as far as replaced pickups in general, there will be a lot of people that say this vintage guitar needs a pickup rewound, but I don't want to ruin the value. A guitar that doesn't work is worthless. The guitar has to work. Not worth less, but worth less.
Mm-hmm. Fred Berthiami, I don't. Sorry,
I haven't
Fred.
seen your name before. Hello and welcome. If we haven't seen you before.
Anyone have experience with Zager guitars?
I have experience with them emailing me all the time, wanting me to review their stuff.
Fletcher Floyd, happy 2025 to all. I'm hoping my small collection grows by at least 2 this year. I want to get something with P90s in it. I've never owned a P90 or a guitar with them and want to give them a whirl.
Well, stay tuned.
Let's just run through Fletcher Floyd's comments. I'd like to know if this white Yamaha RG is ever going to be worth anything. It's unlike anything else out there, even 25 years ago when it came out.
There are people that will look high and low for clean examples of old Yamaha anythings. Yep.
Then he said, I'd like to have a strap pickguard made with 2 of y'all's P90s this year.
We could do that.
Joe Coach, big letters. Luther Dickinson. He was my first unofficial guitar teacher on some obscure cable channel. He rocked.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Now, he does all that. It was doing all that North Mississippi All-Stars stuff, and he needed a new cigar box. And so a guy I was working with at the time doing some stuff built this cigar box, and I built this really custom set of pickups for it. I actually have one of the prototypes in there somewhere. But it was a Firebird bobbin. It had to be very, very short. And it was a Firebird bobbin glued to a Telecaster flatwork on the bottom so that it would work. It would fit into a Telecaster kind of hole. And then we put it had a bar magnet, and then we laminated a piece of wood to match. And when you looked at his cigar box, like straight up and the neck sticking up, there was a moon cut in it instead of like a sound hole. And the whole idea was that it looked like an outhouse. It was really neat. It was a cool deal. I know he still plays it.
Joe Coach again. I had a 1957 K hollow body electric. Opened my eyes to rare versus collectible. It was very rare, but pretty much worthless.
Yeah, but those are neat. And there are people that really get into that stuff. I am one of those people. I'll be one of those people that'll go into an old pawn shop or an old music store, and that's the stuff I'm going to look for. Old harmonies, old Ks, old Tyscos, old silver tones, stuff like that. That's what I'm going to look for.
JMK 2112. So I recently purchased a Boss DS1 after 40 years. Kind of disappointed as the pedal responded poorly to high output pickups. I'm ordering a Digitech Hothead, which hopefully I get better results.
So don't keep playing with that DS1. It can do a lot of really, really neat things. A lot of it'll depend on your amp too. So just know that.
Dom D says, my collection technically is at 30 if you count a bass and a cheap classical acoustic. I don't really count those two though. My two most expensive are a D42 and a Murphy Light Aged R9 in green lemon.
Oh, that's sick. I don't count.
Let's just run through Dom D's comments. I'm pretty proud of myself. I haven't bought any guitars or pens this year. January 2nd.
I haven't either.
Did he send anything else?
I made up for it today, though.
Wow. It's today. Oh, never mind. Yeah. Yeah. Josh Garland says, is an Eric Clapton signature the same as an Ultra?
No. It is not, because it has a wacky neck profile. And does it still have a preamp in it or not? I don't know the answer to that question. You might look into that yourself. But the biggest thing for me about an Eric Clapton, two big things: the pickups and the wacky neck profile.
Josh Garland, can I buy a vintage bridge plate for a professional 2 Telecaster? Is anyone making them?
Professional 2. Keep going. I'm going to look.
Okay. Weldy McWelderson.
I love that.
Says, good evening, Dylan and Leslie. I have a Gibson Les Paul Tribute and a Studio. I would like to consolidate them and buy just one. Should I go for the standard, or do you think the Studio Session is just as good as?
Just get a real one. If you've got 2 guitars to sell and you can, they're $2,700. So just go get a Les Paul standard. You won't regret it. And then you won't have to ask this question because you'll have the thing that is the thing. And you won't have to have this conversation. You won't have to be like, and you won't have to explain it, and you won't have to talk about it, and you'll just have the thing. And I think you'll be happy with it. I love mine. I have the Slash one, but really the only difference between the Slash one and a regular one is I have a skinny neck because I don't like fat necks. That's really the main reason I got it. And because you like November Rain. And the pickups are a little different. But really, I wouldn't tell you, oh, this is better than a standard, because it's just really a standard with different pickups in it. Just get the standard. Do it. Sean
McMillan says, my only complaint with Runway Audio, very minor issue, is that if stepped on when on a hard surface, it's very easy to slip and potentially fall.
They roll and they slide. No, that is true. Yeah.
Jedi Jingle Maker says, hey, really appreciate your videos. Much love from the great state of Florida.
Thank you.
Did you answer if you could buy whatever that thing was?
I was just looking at this. I can get you that bridge. The difference for mine would be that it doesn't have the 2 front screws, because it would be like the American Vintage 2 bridge. I don't know why they put those 2 front screws in there. Honestly, it makes no sense to me. You don't need them. So I don't know why they do that, and then the ones we sell have the compensated brass barrel saddles. If you look on our website, you'll see when you see like a loaded bridge setup, it's usually like in the custom pages, that we do that compensated brass saddle bridge, very much like the Fender. It's Clusen though, but it doesn't have the 2 front holes. But other than that, I think it's the same. So yeah, I think it could be done.
All right. Curtis Chavez, I'm curious, does anyone have a theory as to why some custom builders can ask a lot of money for their guitars and they sell out while other good builders struggle to sell?
I personally think it comes down to marketing. I think it comes down to and who your network is. And where they focus their marketing, where they focus their marketing. A lot of people aim too low and they undersell their products. They undersell the time and the effort and the experience that it takes to make them. So then they don't talk about themselves effectively, which is harder to do than you think. You think, well, just any jerk will just brag about his stuff, but that doesn't work either. You have to be able to like articulate features and benefits of a product. It has to be, it's salesmanship is a thing. It's really hard. I know this from experience, that it's really hard when it's yourself. Like, it's hard to sell my own stuff because I don't want to brag, but I also want to present it positively. It's a very difficult thing. And then the other thing is marketing and finding the audience. I think a lot of people focus, this is business wide, but I see it a lot in smaller, more boutique-y businesses. I see it in the fountain pen stuff all the time. I see it in the knife stuff all the time. I see it in firearm stuff all the time. I see it in the guitar stuff all the time. That when you have a really good product, a lot of times you don't look for the right market. And the bottom line is there is money out there to be spent. The YouTube comments will tell you otherwise, but those people don't have that money because they're too busy commenting. So the people that really can afford an $8,000 guitar, they're out there. And what's really crazy is everybody I know that sells $8,000 guitars can't keep them in stock. If you try to sell a $1,500 guitar or a $1,200 guitar, they'll sit on the shelf because it's a different mentality of person.
So in response to that, Dom D said, from what I've seen, those custom builders just do a great job at getting their guitars into the hands of the most followed influencers. How many people have a Novo because of Rhett?
So, okay, I see that. I see you. I get that. But what a lot of people don't understand is how small that niche itself is. I think a lot of people will also overthink and oversell one particular audience. So like, oh, if I get my P90s to fill, then I'm all of a sudden going to be on the map for about a week and a half, and then everything's back to normal. So it's not like sometimes it can be depending on who it is, but it has to be a constant drip. There's a reason why we've been doing this for 11 years and we never miss. On vacation, sick, power's out, I don't care. We will be here on Thursday night. Because it's important to continue to do this. And I think as business changes and I think people start to really catch on to that, like Matt and Chris are getting better at it, for example, because they make an excellent product. But Matt and I were just talking about this the other day. He's like, I'm glad you're going to this trade show with me because I suck at working at trade shows. He's like, I'm just not a good salesman. And I'm like, that's okay. I am. I love doing it. But he's getting better and better and better about presenting his product. And he will continue to be more successful as a result because his product is good. Both of those things have to be true. And not all people are good at both of those things. We've worked with a lot of custom builders that made really neat stuff and they're just gone because they can't do both of those things.
Hogman Hog says it's not bragging if it's true.
Well, that's why I say I make the best P90 in the world. I'm 100% sure of it. So I just tell you, and you have to believe me.
So you're talking about a podcast episode. Jose Daniels Morapee said it'd definitely be a great podcast episode. Like, I feel like I don't like the humbuckers on the rest of my guitars after trying yours, but also know I have a Strat with cheap pickups, but sounds fine as is.
Yeah, which is fine. I always say that. Get a guitar, play it. If you want to change something, change something. If you don't, then leave it. Yeah. Stock pickups are cool too. I have a lot of guitars with stock pickups in them. I do.
Josh Garland, if I play my professional 2 Telecaster for 2 hours a day, every day, how long will it take to relic naturally?
Professional 2? Is Professional 2's lacquer? Okay, so here's the thing. It depends. Because I have a guitar. I have a couple guitars. I have a couple of Gibsons that I intentionally do not clean. Like, I don't clean them. I don't wipe them down. They're gross. I play them like with a pocket knife belt clip hanging out with, like a belt buckle, and I cannot get those guitars to look any different. And I think what it is for me is it's the chemistry of my body just doesn't break. And you know what's funny is before I changed my diet, every time I played a nitrocellulose lacquer guitar, the neck would get sticky. But now I don't eat the same way I used to eat, and it doesn't do it anymore. I don't know what the science behind that is, but I do know for sure. I can think of one guitar in specific that I remember literally like the finish rolling up, like little beads of finish rolling up and coming off the neck from my skin, my sweat. It's crazy. Acidy spit. Like Jurassic Park. It's the acidy spit. I got one buddy. I won't even let him play my guitars. He'd trash a set of strings in one song.
Edgar Cesario, why do some amps have the control on the top and others on the front? And if it is convenience, by now, shouldn't amp makers have the right one and just make it that way?
That's a great question, and I don't know the answer to it. And I think I 100% agree with you. I think they should be on the front. That is my opinion. I don't think they should be on the top. Because they can't get beer spilled in them, and you can stack them.
Mm-hmm. Doc Silton says, is the winter beater car just a northern snow belt thing? I don't know what that means. So.
No. Because even here, I mean, we live in the South, and people will put their winter wheels on in their summer wheels.
What? Who?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know anybody that changes
the Crown Vic
wheels.
boys will.
What do they change?
They'll like other wheels. Maybe not so much here, I guess.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, so where he's talking about, like he's got an RS5.
But he doesn't drive it in the winter?
He'll put that thing up. And he won't even take it out of the garage. People will like we would winterize a motorhome.
Yeah.
They'll like put it in there. They'll cover it. They'll get it up on blocks. So
what do you call it? A snow belt? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
So we live in the Bible Belt, and we have folks that have Cadillacs that they only drive on Sunday.
That is true. And Bibles that they never use even on Sunday. Oh, did I say that out loud? Yes, we do have that. We have old men who definitely, especially old men,
have a Sunday car.
Mm-hmm. They'll have a Chrysler 300, depending on where you're from and what your culture is and whatever. You'll have a Chrysler 300, usually black or navy blue with a chrome grille, or you will have a probably pretty old Cadillac that is like perfect. And then the Saturday, there's also Saturday guys. Remember when we lived over in South Carolina, we would drive by that Hardee's on Saturday, and all the old men would be there, and they would be like old men in like full on perfect Daryl Earnhardt jackets.
Dale
Earnhardt jackets. Whatever. I'm not from here. Who cares? Wow. Anyways.
I care.
I know, I'm teasing. Dale Earnhardt jackets with in like 1980 '89 S10 and Ranger pickups that you
Pristine.
can tell had like 17,000 miles on them because all they did was meet the old guys for coffee at Hardee's on Saturday with that truck. So we do have those people, but the Sunday Cadillac thing's a thing for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing.
Shane Walton says, when I buy a guitar, I weigh how much I want it versus how angry my wife will be if I buy it.
The only question she ever asks me is, can you make videos with what? Is there a reason to make videos and will it serve the business? Other than that, she never cares.
And sometimes the answer is no.
Sometimes the answer is no, and I still do it. But then I end up finding a way, you know? Yeah.
Curtis Chavez, Dylan, is there any sonic advantage in playing a Les Paul Junior versus a Les Paul Special?
No. And don't let the forum people tell you otherwise.
T-Bone, is the Esteban acoustic a collectible, especially if it was purchased on QVC at midnight?
That's funny.
The old boy, the Fender Plus from the 80s, 90s are the most collectible you can get at a reasonable price. They are the only series guitars where you can find the signature of John Cruz or other master builders.
I got a bunch of stuff with John Cruz's signature on it. I was actually looking at a bag of that stuff today. Did you see he's doing something with somebody again? Iconic?
Maybe not.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Iconic Guitars.
Dom D says, the only methodology behind my collection is I buy things I've always wanted growing up, or if it's something I played and fell in love with, or I thought it was cool enough to own.
You know, I think I'm narrowing my stuff to that. I'm like, there has been times where I'm like, I'm going to buy everything that comes out because I'm a collector. And I did that for a long time. And now I'm to the point where I'm like, no, only the things I really want. You know how you'll like I'll go to a fountain pen store online, or I'll go to a guitar store online, or I'll go to a knife shop online, and you'll sit there and you'll shop and you'll build a cart like 20 different ways and then end up walking away from it because you don't really want any of it. That's kind of where I'm at. Like with guitars too. Like I'm really down to some stuff I really want, but it's also taking me, instead of buying a guitar all the time, it's one a year like that. You know what I mean? This latest one being my custom shop Gibson.
All right, let me catch up really quick.
That's okay.
Actually.
Because we have 1 minute.
What?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I don't know what I'm catching up on then. Super chat from Doc Siltonen. Thank you for the super chat, Doc. He said, I will confirm your P90s are the best I've played ever.
And he makes P90s too.
But we also know who he learned from.
It's true.
Super chat from Tony Leonardi. Thank you for the super chat, Tony. He said, Happy New Year, you too. I am tardy. LOL.
Tony, I am tardy too. I got your pickups done. Pickup done. Second day air. Drove it to UPS. And they were closed. So they actually did not get UPS-ed until today. Because I worked on New Year's Eve super hard to get as many people's stuff out as I could before the holiday. And yours was one of them. And I literally drove over there. Because we don't have to drive for mail. But we have to drive for UPS. So I literally drove over there and they were closed. I was so bummed out. So anyway, you will still be getting your stuff. I don't know if you'll get it when you wanted it though. but I really did try.
All right. What time it is?
It's super chat time. It's always super chat time. I saw you clearing out super chats while I was like,
Sorry,
yeah,
so funny.
That was really funny. So this is off topic hour. So this is where we just get to know y'all and hang out and stuff. If you want to ask a guitar question after 9:00 during our Q&As, you have to use a super chat. Unless, otherwise we'll ignore it. And you have to come back next week and ask a question about guitar stuff. But you can ask any other question off topic that you want, and we might answer it. Most of the time we do. There's not very often that we don't. No religion, no politics, and other than that, it's pretty cool.
Tony said you're forgiven, by the way.
Okay. I did feel really bad because he was like really trying. What happened was he ordered pickups last week, and I sent him out, and then he's like, dang it, I ordered the wrong, like he needed a neck instead of a bridge or whatever. I was like, So he texted me this weekend, and he's like, can you, or maybe Friday night or something, I don't remember, but it was like a weird time. And he's like, can you knock one of these out and I'll pay extra for freight? And I'm like, I'm not going to charge you extra for freight. Like, I'll just take care of you. He's a good customer. And, and I did it, and I got it done, and I got it done exactly when it was supposed to get done. And it would have gotten there in time and everything. And then we get there.
It was literally like, normally you go close to the end of the day. And I was like, I think things are going to close early. You should go now. And you went really early.
Yeah, like 11 o'clock in the morning.
You're like, let me finish this and I'll go ahead and go.
And you're like, no, you should go now because they might close at noon or they might close early or whatever because it's New Year's Eve. And I get there and I'm like...
Texted me and he was like, or they could be closed all day.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was bummed out. Anyway. And so I had a big shipment of top secret stuff going to Matt and Chris too. And so that stuff didn't get shipped out till today either. And that also means that a bunch of parts that we were waiting on, and I was telling customers, I should have a big part shipment on Thursday, and the stuff that we're waiting on that's holding you up will be here on Thursday. Usually UPS is really good. FedEx, I cannot depend on, but 99% of the time, if it says it's going to be here on Thursday, UPS is usually pretty good about it. And then about 2:00 today, I got your shipment is delayed till tomorrow. I was like, crap. So I feel really bad, but I don't though, in a sense, because there's like a 3-week period at the end of December and beginning of January that's always like this. And you just can't get around it.
Chaos.
And no matter what you promise, like I try to not overpromise, but even if you're like, well, I won't be able to get to this till next week, it might not even happen then. It's just so dumb. What's crazy, and what sucks about the whole thing is anybody that's waiting for anything, every coil, except for 2, which is a very new order that just came in, is wound. Everything in there is like done. And we're waiting on some stuff, and so it's literally like I've been working hard, but oh well.
All right.
So we are caught up. So if you want to order something, you can.
Looks like we have one after hours.
We do.
Charles, good evening, Leslie and Dylan. Hope all is well with the puppy. Thank you for sharing your evening with us.
Oh yeah. So actually
puppy news.
And Dawn asked us about the puppy too.
Yep.
He's cool. He's here sleeping. For those of you that are wondering, and who didn't know, we have a 5.5-month-old Weimaraner puppy, and he's awesome. He's super cool. He's super healthy. Everything's fine. But he started limping on Monday. And of course, because of the holiday.
Yeah, you like called on Tuesday. They were like, nope, not till Thursday.
Yeah, yeah. Because, a dog starts limping and you're like, maybe he'll feel better in a couple hours because, who knows? They're playing hard, whatever. Well, it didn't feel better the next day. So I was like, okay. And we have some calming dog treats and stuff. And I was like, let me see if I can get him to relax. Maybe he'll feel better. Nope. So Tuesday I called the vet and made an appointment for today because, of course, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Tuesday and Wednesday wasn't going to be a thing. Brought him in there, and apparently he has a light sprain of his left rear knee, which makes sense because he's all legs and he's super clumsy and he plays really hard with the other dog. They run around and, they just be dogs. But she said it's no big deal. She's like, he could have just tripped or stepped in a hole or, did something funky because he's a puppy and they don't have all their coordination and whatever. So gave us a whatever, like a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory NSAID sort of thing. We got to give him a couple times a day. And the suckiest thing is we can't let him run for 4 weeks, which is impossible.
We've already failed day one.
We've already failed. Like we'll be able to keep him sort of subdued, but I don't know, man. He's 5.5 months old. So we'll see. He'll be all right. I think he's gonna be fine, but it just sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to take him to the vet.
So we started in the guitar hour, but it's totally not on topic with guitar. So T-Bone says, you can include the Buick LeSabre, always in the passing lane, doing 50 miles per hour with the turn signal on.
Yeah. This morning it was a Lexus. We were on the way to the sure enough, I got cut off by a Lexus going 40 miles an hour in the left lane. And then they did a U-turn. And it wasn't even an old man Lexus. It was a GX470 with really cool wheels and stuff. It was lifted.
I thought you had to pass like an Expedition.
And I did have to pass an Expedition in the left lane going 40. And then this one went like this and like cut across me. Yeah.
Tom F says, did you get the Bones coffee?
No, not yet. That's the other thing that's supposed to come tomorrow, I think. Is we ended up joining like a monthly. I found one that once I understand if it's good, I'll talk about it. I don't like to talk about stuff until I figure out if it's decent. But anyway, so I've got a monthly coffee round the world thing. So that shows up tomorrow.
Weldy McWelderson says, did I see that you got a new Audi? How do you like it? What model? Trim?
That is the other thing that happened today. So I've been on the fence. In fact, I just told her yesterday, I think I'm going to just keep my SQ5. And then we started talking about it today, and I told her, I kind of like came off of that, and I told her, I was like, I'm just going to wait till the right deal comes along, but I'm going to buy something fast again because I was thinking about buying like a Yukon or something. We got a grandkid coming in a couple months. And so I was like, am I going to get maybe I'll go get a Denali or I'll go get something like that. And then I went and drove my SQ5 today, and I'm like, man, this thing is so fun. And the motor's it's just so fun. Even for an SUV, it's fun. And I got home, and immediately after telling her I'm going to wait until a good deal comes along, my guy calls me. The GM of Audi here is a friend of mine. I've bought, after today, it'll be like 9 cars I bought from this guy. And he called me and he texted me and he's like, hey, I've got an S5 over here and it's the last 2024 and it's marked down like 10 grand. Do you want to come and drive it? And I'm like, I just said, I'm just going to wait until a good deal comes along. So I drove over there. I didn't even drive it really. I mean, I know what it is. But he gave me the keys. He's like, here, just take it. So I brought it home. I showed her. And then I just texted him and said, yeah, okay, we'll take it. So they email us the paperwork. We sign the stuff over email. It's done. So cool. I love buying cars from them because of that. Even the finance guy, finance guys can be sort of a pain in the butt. I was in the dealership enough today to shake hands with the guys that I knew and walk back out the door with the car.
Guess who's in the comments?
Who?
John Gorans.
Nice. What's up, John? So then, so even the finance guy who's always trying to sell you everything, he calls me on the phone and he's like, hey, I'm putting your deal together. I'm going to email you everything over here in a minute. What do you want to do? I got your last file out from the last Audi you bought from us. And this is what we did on the last one. Do you want to just do the same thing again? And I'm like, yep, sounds good. That was it. Like no hard sell, no, if you hit a curb, it's going to, like none of that stuff. Like it was just so great, man. So great. So we got to run by there tomorrow. It'll probably take a couple minutes, but we got to sign all the title paperwork and stuff you got to do in person. But anyway, it's a 2024 Audi S5, and it is not the Prestige. It's the
Premium Plus.
Premium Plus. Our SQ5 was a Premium Plus too. So it has, but it has all the options I wanted, which is crazy because I'm buying a leftover. But it has every option that I wanted. The only option it doesn't have that I wanted is I wanted the blackout kit where like the grill and all the logos and everything are all black. But I didn't get that. But I got the performance exhaust with the cutouts, which is something that I really wanted that my last car didn't have. And I wanted Napa leather instead of Alcantara. We had Alcantara in our other car and it was okay, but it's real grippy when you get in and out and stuff. Like it just feels like you're going to wear the seats out. So I'm glad to have Napa leather this time, and it's softer, and we have the sports seats. So they're the buckets that like really wrap you up. And it's a sport back. So it's like a whole hatchback. It looks like when you open it up, it looks like an El Camino. It's like so huge in there.
Don't say that.
For real. If you fold the seats down and then put that thing up, it looks like an Audi El Camino.
That sounds terrible.
You know what they had in there?
John Gordon said he was couch surfing and just happened upon this.
No thanks, John.
So if y'all don't know who John is, that's Odessa Pickups that we recommend to some of y'all.
Yeah. About to talk about guitars during off-topic hour, but since he's here, if you've ever need anything rewound, especially weird stuff, he's your man.
Mm-hmm. Good guy.
Yep.
What were you going to say? Do you guess what they had in there? Do you know what they had in there?
They had a RS6, which, was 115 grand. But it was charcoal gray wheels and like a pine green metallic. You'll see it tomorrow. Dude.
It's pretty.
Oh my God. It was beautiful. And that's the one with the Lamborghini Urus motor, right? Whew.
Nope. Leave it there.
Yeah. That one can stay there.
Of course, Doc's still here. He said, very sweet car.
Dude. Yeah. I sent him pictures earlier because he's an Audi guy.
Yep. Let's see. Oh, I missed
the super chat.
Sorry.
Benny's World. Excellent. Sorry.
Super chat from Benny's World. Sorry about that, Benny. Thank you for the super chat. He says, Happy New Year. I hope you all have a wonderful 2025. Just backtracking a bit to the custom builders question. Can't believe it's already been 10 years since I found out about you through print media. Hard to imagine now.
What? That's how you found us?
Print.
Only because we had the best PAF clone in 2016 or 14 or whenever that was in Premier Guitar
10 years
Magazine.
ago, it had to be 14.
Yep, Premier Guitar Magazine.
That is wild. I didn't know that's how
Wow, I didn't know that's how you found us, man. That's cool. He's one of my... It's neat that you've been around this long, and he's like one of my... Well, I will tell you, he is one of my best customers. Or he is, actually. I can filter by who has spent like the most money or had the most orders, or I don't remember how much, but Vinny's right up there. He's been there a long time.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Too bad you're so far away, dude. He's like one of the people that, you want to meet as many of these folks as you can in an off-topic or on-topic setting. And he's like exact opposite world from us. So like it would be really difficult for us to make it to Hong Kong, but I would love to.
That's on the list of potential places we might go if we do, if we get approved to do it.
Do some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if it'll be there or where, but that was on the list.
Yep.
So maybe you'll have to go with me if I have to go on the other side of the world anyway, because I'm not doing that by myself.
Exactly.
But
that'd be a long way to go.
I know. I don't know that we'll do that, but Jared Autry says, say more about what diet changes you made.
Well, I haven't eaten animal products for a really long time. And it had changed my body. Makes me feel better. So really that's it.
Let's see. Curtis Chavez says, what constitutes a dad joke and why are they the funniest kind of jokes?
Probably any joke that I put in our family. We have a family group chat.
They are not all dad jokes because they are not all appropriate.
Yeah, but our kids, makes sense.
Thomas Garcia says, Leslie, why do you always hide behind the banner? Not hiding, just there.
It's just there.
Doc Silton said, I'm going to have to road trip down with my RS5 just for fun.
I want to drive that thing.
Then he said, I've never been to Hong Kong. Let's do it.
Yeah, he's been to Singapore. He went to Singapore Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Yep.
I need to do something international. My passport's going to expire soon.
I know. I thought about that. The last time we were talking about this international deal we were looking at. I was like, dang, we haven't been out of the country in a long time. We probably should look at that. I was actually thinking about that when I bought my plane tickets for California, that how often do we have the TSA pre-check stuff? That should be coming up too, right?
I just did that. I think it's 5.
5 years?
Yeah.
Oh, you did it for us?
We did it. Yeah. I mean, we've done it since we got it initially. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's been renewed once at least, maybe twice. Maybe it's 3 years.
Okay. I don't know. That's something I thought about when I bought these tickets because I was like, oh crap, do I even still have that?
Yeah, I'm not going to let that lapse.
It's too
saved
convenient.
my butt many times.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Apparently don't leave Vegas at 5 a.m. though, because I told folks like Vegas is so easy. It's never blah blah like because I've never
had a problem in Vegas.
But apparently, if you leave at 5 a.m, it's a nightmare.
Really?
And you have to be there like 3 hours early.
Oh.
And I was like, what? So we had folks what's the other thing? Not TSA pre-check. What's the other thing they do? Like clear something?
Check something. Yeah.
Apparently they have like a free trial. So there was folks they were literally like, yeah, sign me up for like a 30-day free trial. And so they got through and then they canceled it.
Makes sense.
Because they weren't going to make it. Anyway. Dog Dr. Tim says grippy leather seats have a tendency to pinch your package. Just FYI.
I mean, I get that. Don't want them on the wrong side of the seam.
Things I don't know about.
Well, you wouldn't.
Joey Dano Guitar says dad jokes are silly jokes that you try not to laugh at. I feel like trying not to laugh is unhealthy.
I agree.
You should just laugh.
I agree.
I mean, unless it's mean, then I understand trying not to laugh.
Yeah. Until you're by yourself, then laugh.
Aww. John Gorentz, off-topic stuff, huh? Have you seen I'm getting a new motorcycle? Janice Halcyon. What is that word? Halcyon. Halcyon 450, built in Goshen, Indiana. No. I have seen him talk about. I didn't know what it was, but I have seen him talk about a new motorcycle. Yes.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I don't know what it is, which is weird because usually I know motorcycle stuff.
You should look it up.
I will.
Janice Halcyon 450.
Yeah, that's neato.
Ferda Taco says a joke becomes a dad joke when it becomes apparent.
Nice.
That's a good one. I like that one. Okay. Oh, here's the second location. Vinny's World says, because of work, I'm actually relocating back to Tokyo. So if you guys ever plan to visit Japan, that's the other place.
Well, now I really want to go to Japan because we do want to go to Japan anyway.
Doc Silton, and what about a trip to Belgium to see the GP at Spa before it's off the schedule?
Oh, that would be cool. Then we could go see Zoltan and buy all of his cheap guitars.
You don't know that they're cheap.
I'm teasing.
You could see Zoltan, though.
Yeah, we could see
That's
Zoltan.
Cool dude.
Yeah, he's cool.
Has Doc met Zoltan? He wasn't there that time, I don't think.
I think he's met Zoltan once, maybe. Doc, have you met Zoltan? He's super cool, man. Super cool. He's been there a couple times. Zoltan's been here a couple times, so.
To Texas Toast?
Maybe just once.
I thought he was just the once when we were there. And I don't think
okay.
Doc was there.
Okay. Yeah, maybe you're right. He's super cool dude, though.
I'm confident Doc wasn't there because Zoltan was who I talked to the whole time. Like I always have to have a person.
Yeah. Yep. Whoops. Squeaky chair.
It is squeaky. Curtis Chavez sharing a dad joke. A horse walks into the saloon. The bartender queries him. Why the long face?
I've heard that.
That's classic.
Mm-hmm.
Except I would never say queries, except that's what he wrote. So,
who is it?
Curtis Chavez. Weldy McWelderson. Last one. What was your favorite part of riding/working with dirt bikes? And what issue of dirt bike could I find you in?
I don't know. I have a whole box full of them. Because I kept them all. I would say, honestly, the biggest thing is it was just a dream that I always wanted to do that for a living, and I wanted to write in media, and work in that industry. When I was like 4 years old, I remember opening up a magazine and seeing like somebody has this job. What do I have to do this? Well, I didn't know you had to be an engineer and all this stuff. I didn't know I didn't know what you had to do as a kid. I didn't know, but I knew that when I was given the opportunity, when I was about 23, 24 maybe, that I was going to take that opportunity. So I did, and it was really fun. It was great. I got hurt really bad, but I mean, I wouldn't not do any of it. It was awesome.
Super chat from Joey Dano Guitars. Thanks for the super chat, Doug. He said, bought me a 1985 350 ATC. It's a rocket, but I literally can't kickstart it because of my drop foot.
Oh my gosh, those are sick. Just don't die. It's the big red 3-wheeler. Don't want to tip it over. That's so cool. Makes sense if you have land in Florida. That's like such a Florida man thing to do.
Florida man is the wrong term to use right there.
Why?
I mean, you could say that's like such a Florida thing to do, but Florida man is its own thing. Doug is not Florida man.
Not that kind of Florida man.
Not that kind of, exactly. Doc says he hasn't met Zoltan yet. He was in Belgium this past summer, but didn't have a chance to get together.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Cool.
Yep.
And Doc is recommending a bar to Vinny's. I read it to Vinny. He says, go check out the bar Death Match in Hell. Super awesome.
It sounds awesome.
And Vinny was like, I'll definitely look it up. Almost sounds like a wrestling joint.
I was going to say, it sounds kind of metal, and Vinny's actually super metal. So What was that? Speaking of that, what was that? Didn't we go to like a taco place somewhere that was super metal?
The scary one with
Yeah.
the dolls?
Yeah.
Terror Tacos.
Terror Tacos. Where was that? Is it Chicago?
St. Louis.
St. Louis. Okay.
Because I actually got in a conversation with a coworker who's from that area
Mm-hmm.
and random, and she's telling me like, "Oh, there's this taco place," and I was like, "I've been there."
Yeah. Terror Tacos. That's what it was called. All horror themed, sort of. And then the food was really good too. Yep. Well, seems like we pretty much covered all the things.
First comment took until 9:26 p.m.
What?
Jose Daniel Zamora Peace says, "Nice bangs."
Nice.
Leslie."
Oh, we were wondering how long that was going to take. Apparently, it took the whole time.
Took the whole time. That's funny.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, cool. Thanks, y'all. We'll see you tomorrow when I make my daily short. It's going to be a thing.
Bye.
We'll see you later.